Hi, what's happening? It is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, and this is your GG Replay Gaming News Breakdown, hosted by us, the Goodnight Groofs, a place for games and a place for goofs. We're still working on the slogan, workshopping that one. I am Paul, and as always, I am joined by Matt. You know, today I'm taking a little bit slower. I've got an alcoholic beverage. It's a little bit later than we normally record, and I'm feeling like it's kind of like a GG Replay after dark over here. Even though it's still light out, I'm feeling mellow. So we're gonna go with that flow today, I think, a little bit. And just talk about our mellow stories. Matt, how are you doing today? You showed me you have a drink. What do you have today? If that's
I was gonna ask you as well. I've got honestly, I went a little classless this time. It's a Bud Light. Okay, it's
Bud Light. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I went out for a patio lunch the other day, and I had I guess it's maybe, I don't know, you guys have Molson Canadian, but I got a Molson Canadian.
We do have that, yeah.
It's a Bud Light. It's a Bud.
Yeah.
It's the same, like, classless beer, but it's my favorite. It's just the easiest to drink just when you're eating something and chilling. Right now, I have an Angry Orchard hard apple cider, and it's a good time. It's nice and tasty.
Nice.
Get it with some ice cubes, and they've already melted in the sweltering heat that is this room. Not really. It's pretty normal. I'm wearing a sweater. I'm fine.
My wife, who's listening to this right now, I'm sure. Hi. She's gonna hear that you're listening to the or that you're drinking the Angry Orchard, and she's gonna be a little jealous, I think.
Oh man, you guys! I didn't know if Angry Orchard was in the U.S. or not. If it was just it felt like it was like a weird Canada only thing, but it's not, right? It's
no, yeah, we got that here.
That's cool. It's a good one. I normally do a lot of Summersby. Is like the basic one. I don't know if you guys
haven't heard of that one. That might be
that's
Canadian.
like a real like basic cider that's like everywhere. Okay. But yeah, the Angry Orchard's a good time. Yeah, so we're just chilling. We're kicking back today, and we're going to be talking about the latest stories in gaming news. If you haven't heard this podcast before, that's what it is. We're breaking down the latest stories. And believe me, today we have some interesting ones. So,
Paul, real quick, to interrupt you before we get into it, I have to give a shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks. We are the NBA champions. 50 years it has been since we last won. So, Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis.
No way.
Ultimate.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, we won last night.
What?
Yeah, I was up pretty late.
I saw. That's awesome, dude. You should have said something. That's awesome. That's so cool. You're saying something now. I saw some people post about that online, and I was like, oh, did they win like a semifinal, or if I didn't know it was the big? I didn't know it was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that.
I'm still in shock. I never thought it was going to happen in my lifetime, to be honest.
And you're such a huge Bucks fan. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That must mean even more. I was going to say it was even cool being a non-basketball fan in Toronto when the Raptors won. That was pretty cool because that was just no one thought that was going to happen, and then Kawhi brought it home.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool.
Kawhi brought it home, and then he went home.
And he promptly left and went home.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I proved I could do it, and so bye. I'm sure as a lifelong Bucks fan, that's really exciting. So some other gaming news there. So the Bucks won the NBA championship. So really cool. If y'all sports fans are out there and some Milwaukee Bucks fans, some cheeseheads, that's a Wisconsin. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
so that's a Wisconsin thing.
Yeah, Packers.
Yeah, so there we go. Yeah. So perfect. We love it. Yeah, so we're hanging out just in case we're slurring our words here, making all kinds of mistakes. I do want to remind you, send in your corrections. If we have any issues, if we say anything wrong, obviously don't correct when I stutter. How dare you? But if there's any corrections that need to be brought up, any misread facts, send them to ggreplayshow@gmail.com or head down to our YouTube comments below and drop us a scathing comment talking about all the things we got wrong. Honestly, engagement's great. So if you hate us, please comment, because it's just anything you say is great. So all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, as long as you're not like Roger Ebert reviewing Baby Geniuses, because that could get a little mean-spirited.
Or that one guy who reviewed that Sims 2 stuff pack or whatever, the Diesel stuff pack. You ever see that meme?
I haven't seen
And he's just
that.
it's like a New York Times reporter. It's someone like who's an actual like a journalist before games journalism was so big, and he just wrote like the most scathing review. It was like about like existentialism and life, and how like this is just like the bottom of the barrel of what life can be. It's very funny. Definitely worth a read if you get a chance. Moving on to games that are not 15 years old. The reviews are in. We have some reviews from games that came out this week. First off, we got Death's Door, which is a top-down action game. Got an 88 on OpenCritic, and that's out now. That's pretty awesome, Matt. I've heard some great stuff about Death's Door. I might give it a try. Do you have anything to say about Death's Door?
So I was watching a review right before this just to get a good idea of it.
Yeah.
Looks like something you might be into. Not really my thing. I just like top-down games. It's just hard for me to get into them. I don't know why. But this looks like this could be up your alley. Like it just looks like one of those like chill out top-down.
This actually looks like a lot
RPGs.
of fun. Yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. I definitely could probably get into this.
Neat story. It looks like kind of different, unique, a little eccentric. So yeah.
I like weirdly do like top-down games. I ended up finding myself sinking like 4 hours into Minecraft story mode, or not story mode, whatever. What's the one where it's like a top-down Diablo game?
Oh my God, what is that called?
Dungeons, Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah.
I got real into that. I just downloaded it on a whim, and I ended up playing it for like 4 hours straight one time. So didn't really go back to it, but it was fun.
Yeah,
real casual Diablo. Next up, we had Last Stop, which is an interactive story game. I got a 69 on OpenCritic, which, first off, yeah, for sure. Props for that. If you can't get 100, that's the next best score. Out tomorrow. What do you think, Matt? I mean, I like an interactive story game as much as the next one. So, cheers to everyone out there who's looking for that.
This also looks like it might be a little bit up your alley. I've heard...
We keep talking about games that are pretty cool, like the indie story games coming out.
I've heard, from what I understand, I watched a review for this too. It looks like they are almost there, but didn't quite get there with the story. I've heard, apparently the characterization is really good, but they played it safe. It sounds like so. Yeah, but I don't know. But it looks like it could be something. If it comes to Game Pass or whatever at any point, might be
for sure
for you, Paul.
Love it. And then we have Akiba's Trip, Hellbound, and Debriefed. First off, love the name. That is just a off the wall, but interesting name. It's a JRPG brawler. Got a 52 on OpenCritic. I mean, you can come back from that. I mean, it's still, I'm sure there's definitely some people who are interested in playing that game. Obviously there's some fans, but overall didn't perform. So I think Akiba might be taking a long trip to not getting a sequel. So we'll have to see.
Not good. Looked at a few screenshots. Not so far outside of my alley. Not interested.
Yeah, that's the problem with that.
But if you are interested, I still probably can't recommend you checking it out with a 52.
Get it on sale.
Yeah, get it on sale. Yeah.
Wait a couple years. Or maybe a couple months, depending on how that OpenCritic score sits with fans. So let's, we just said not very good. Didn't really live up. It kind of makes me think of another game that I've been waiting for and kind of, we keep hearing snippets of, and I think you all know where I'm going with this if you've been following the stories this week. Ubisoft's Skull and Bones, the pirate game. All of the fun of Black Flag, but with none of the Assassin's Creed of it all, has finally entered an alpha state after years of being in development hell. Now, we first saw this game at E3 2017, but we've heard rumors about this development since 2013. Ubisoft Singapore. It was initially going to be an expansion for Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4. As Matt dutifully researched, it was also an MMO spin-off at one point called Black Flag Infinite.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy, and just keeps kind of changing. I remember at E3 2018, we saw like a 23-minute gameplay trailer.
Yeah,
that looked like Sea of Thieves if they made it an RPG with less freedom and like a bunch of systems thrown on top of it. They're kind of cool though. I mean, if that's what you're into. Kotaku's Ellen Gatch, am I saying that right? Ellen Gack? Ethan, sorry. Ellen, I said Ellen.
I don't either. I don't know why you did that.
I'm reading poorly today. Is reporting that the game is nearing a $120 million budget. That's crazy. That's more than The Last of It. That's in range with what The Last of Us HBO television show could
season
cost.
1, yeah.
And are we really gonna say this is gonna be better than that? Because that's what you have to live up to. It's been rebooted almost annually, And this is the real kicker, and this is really great. Apparently, there's a contract with Singapore's government that requires they release this game. So I don't know if that has anything to do with funding or something like I would imagine. Matt, what do you think about this? This sounds like one of the most horrible. I saw an article that said they'd quoted some of the developers as saying it was like almost like an Anthem like horrible stress, miserable experience where they just like know they're making crap over and over again.
Yeah, I mean it's tough when your game is an expansion, then it's an MMO, then it's Sid Meier's Pirates, then it's Pirate Combat. Then that's not super well received at E3. So in the next year we add off pirate section or off ship sections in like a pirate port. Yeah, I can imagine like when you're rebooting the game annually, at a certain point, the dev team is like, what are we making? And I'm sure everyone is on a different page.
This is the problem you get when you have no direction, like when you don't. Which like what we sometimes make fun of Sony for having all these director's cut games, but it's like because you don't even need to say that because these games are all so clearly director driven from the start of it. And this is like the kind of the opposite where it really seems like there's no major direction of this game, and as soon as they're so thin-skinned that the second they release something and people say that looks bad, they scrap the whole game.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to save this. Luckily, though, it feels like the kind of game that you could, like, once you just decide on a vision, it seems like the kind of thing that you could save. Like, this could be Sea of Thieves with RPG elements that looks like Assassin's Creed. Like, you could do that, and it would probably be fairly successful. But you have to figure out what you want the game to be if you're going to have 100 people working on it. Apparently, the developers are just completely burnt out on it. Totally understandable. So I don't know how you come back from this. Maybe you just have to give it to another studio within Ubisoft. I don't know if Ubisoft Singapore has to do it because they were the ones that got the grants. Maybe the government
has an issue,
Yeah, it's a strange situation. Who knows if, like, Ubisoft ends up just releasing it because they have to and like they don't really care what the state is like and they're just like, okay, we're putting it out to die, or if they're gonna figure it out. I could see this eventually, especially with the way that Ubisoft is going with wanting to get they want to get more free-to-play games out there. I could see that this going that route as a games as a service free-to-play game with a battle pass and all that, whatever. But who the hell knows, Paul? I've always, like, when this was first announced, I was like, dang, this kind of looks cool. I love the pirate.
It was cool, yeah.
I love the pirate aesthetic. I love, the whole pirate thing in games. We've talked about how we love Sea of Thieves.
Love Sea of Thieves.
So I hope it works out, but it's probably still a long ways off. Although it's in some sort of alpha state now. Who knows if it goes back into pre-production? Who knows? I don't know.
It's a mess. So I mean, kudos to them. I hope the developers are doing all right, and keep at it. Hopefully something can come of this eventually, and it won't be all for naught. Talking about games that are getting changed around. That's another story today. Konami's soccer franchise, PES, has been rebranded. This is a pretty long time franchise. It's been rebranded as eFootball. Lowercase e, capital F, football. It is it'll be now free to play with free annual updates for new seasons, which is actually pretty cool. And it'll include a match pass that's kind of like a battle pass. Pretty cool. I mean, I think we see a lot of... The thing is, when you get annual sports games, they get expensive to buy almost the same game every year, and they have to have these little trailers every year that go like, look, we've upgraded the systems and the technology. Now it's got ray tracing. And it's like, well, last year, didn't it have ray tracing last year? But now the faces are, 1% more realistic. So it's pretty cool I think sports games as a battle pass make a lot of sense. But Matt, you are the sports game guru. I mean, certainly of the two of us, what's your take?
This is how all sports games need to go. This needs to be the new model for sports games. When you're paying essentially just for a roster update every year, it's not fair. It's just not fair to the consumers. A lot of franchises that are the kings of their domain just have given up in making the gameplay better, adding new features, adding new modes, because all they need to do is do the old roster update, and that's good to go. NBA 2K, there is no competition. NBA Live doesn't really exist right now. Madden NFL with EA, there is no competition, so they don't need to do better.
Baseball, there aren't even baseball games, really.
I will say, actually, baseball is the one that's probably getting it right now with MLB The Show, which is another strange situation in its own, because it's a Sony, I think it's a first-party studio. They released on Xbox for the first time this year.
Okay.
So it had always been a PlayStation game.
I think that's why I was saying that there weren't any baseball games, because I'm thinking, I remember this was a big thing on the Xbox subreddit, was people saying we don't have a baseball game.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'm thinking of. So that's really cool.
So, I mean, that's the problem, is that these sports games have monopolies right now.
Yeah. You see FIFA being so popular.
Right.
It's really cool to, this might be the edge that eFootball and Konami need to maybe like take on something like FIFA and knock that giant down a peg. And maybe EA, we'll see, but maybe EA will, put some more into the next FIFA game because there's some competition finally.
Yeah, I assume Pro Evolution Soccer is a pretty big franchise. Obviously, nowhere near as big as FIFA. So hopefully this spurs some change among sports games. But the problem is that like games like NBA 2K, they're still selling an insane amount of copies, and then they're selling an insane amount of microtransactions within the game.
Yes.
So why would they stop?
Makes sense.
Anyway,
absolutely.
I hope all sports games go this route, but I don't really have anything specifically to say on.
I think sports games work perfect as a game as a service. So really cool. Good to see it happening. Good to see some change. It may not work. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll be too many microtransactions. We'll have to see. But
well, the one last thing that I will say about that is that I know a big reason for this move was that the mobile version of PES had become so big. Like, I think it was pretty much the main version of the game at this point.
Yeah, I've heard that for sure.
And so because of that, this makes sense. They'll add crossplay between mobile and console and all that. And,
that's really cool, because that's one of the harder things to do to push mobile gaming ahead more, is that people aren't willing to pay for a full game on mobile.
Exactly.
So it's cool to imagine that kind of going both ways, and it's free on both systems.
Yeah.
Free to play. You know what I mean?
So now they're not developing two completely different games.
Yeah, really cool. Now, we spoke earlier about directors having a direction. I think it's really important in a lot of games, especially games that have a story. But what about games that don't have a distinct story? Well, that's the story we're talking about right now. A lot of the word story here. Neill Blomkamp, we all know him, we love him. Fucking Prones, mate. We got District 9, Chappie, Elysium. A pretty prolific director. A lot of his movies kind of made in the shell of the Halo movie he almost directed.
Yeah, true.
And it's just come out that he will work with Gunzilla Games on a triple A. Yeah, I thought it was a triple A. I remember you wrote that. You wrote double A multiplayer. I was like, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, we're just having some show notes chat back here.
They said triple A. It could be double A.
Could be. It seems, triple A multiplayer shooter. So that's pretty interesting. Gunzilla Games is a German developer, in case you haven't heard of them, like most people, that launched in November 2020. So pretty new. And they are starting off with $25 million in private funding. And they are putting it to work by paying for Neill Blomkamp. Now, it seems as though, from what I've seen, someone mentioned, like, necessarily be a story-driven game, but more of a world-building kind of thing. In fact, when someone asked him if his position would be similar to George R.R. Martin's from Elden Ring, he said that is the right way of thinking about it.
Okay.
What do you think, Matt? I mean, so it's one thing to have someone come in and write a story, but it's very interesting. And I mean, we saw this with George R.R. Martin, but I mean, this, as much as you want to talk about it, the Soulsborne games really do, they are really about the story, even though the story isn't told linearly. It's told through, finding it and exploring it.
Right.
The story and the world is so important. It's interesting to see something. I mean, we don't know what this game's going to be, but it's interesting to imagine a shooter, maybe even like a multiplayer focused shooter, with hiring such a directing talent to world build.
Yeah. I think it's.
Do you think this is a waste of money?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are a brand new studio. You don't have any other games yet. You got your funding money. Why are you blowing that on Neill Blomkamp?
When you also have to imagine there's a lot of people who can craft a really great world that don't cost what Neill Blomkamp costs.
You're paying for a name that, quite honestly, is not really a big name anymore.
Yeah,
I never saw District 9. I saw Elysium, and Elysium was terrible. And I don't say that about many movies, to be honest. I really don't. Elysium was really bad.
Yeah, I really hate Elysium, which is the only things I liked about it was all the things you could tell were repurposed from Halo, like the fact that they're on a Halo.
Yeah.
There's a ton of crazy stuff.
I like Matt Damon, so I guess that's something.
Yeah. So, I mean, could this be a multi-million-dollar? I mean, we don't know how much he's getting paid, but could this be a multi-million-dollar publicity stunt? Probably.
Yeah, I think that this is...
no one's heard of Gunzilla Games, so now we have.
How much is Neill Blomkamp really going to contribute to your multiplayer shooter? Like, is he really going to... Are you so lacking in creativity that your $25 million can't help you hire someone who can create an interesting world for you, and it has to be in Neill Blomkamp? I just don't. Right. I think they're spending money for a name that they think is going to automatically get people to buy the game, and I really don't think that's the case.
I got him in the news though. I think that's big. But how long is this story going to last though?
It got them on Reddit. Reddit likes Neill Blomkamp.
I saw this everywhere. I saw Polygon, PC Gamer, IGN. Everyone's talking about this. It's on all the gaming blogs and there's interviews. People are asking more about it than they would have if they'd gotten some random guy off the street and hired him to craft the game.
They got their news story. They got what they wanted, and
if that's what they want, yeah.
And I mean,
I'm sure Neill will do a good job. I'm sure he'll make a good. I'm sure he probably can create a good open world in the background for a game. It's just
does it matter?
Worth the money for 25 million when you only have 25 million to play with? I don't know.
I don't think does it even matter. The game needs to be good. Worry about that first.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So pretty crazy. I guess we'll have to see if we ever remember. We don't even know what the game's called. We don't know anything.
I already have I have no faith in this. The fact that this is what they're spending their money on.
It just feels so funny to and I don't know. I mean, who am I to say? But it's so funny to see them get like $25 million in their first thing. It's like, I'm gonna go buy Neill Blomkamp. I've always loved him. It feels like someone who like made it big on Kickstarter or something, or like won the lottery and they're like, oh, I'm gonna work with my favorite dude and we're just gonna make something cool. And it's like, yeah, but you have to pay him anyway.
Is he German? Is Neill Blomkamp German?
He is Canadian and South African.
I thought he was. That's what. See, I thought he was South African. I didn't know the Canadian part. That makes.
I didn't know the Canadian part either. I just Googled him. That's why. But I knew he was South African. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, close ties to Germany there too. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting. We'll have to see. We'll probably forget about it by the time it comes out. But hopefully they mention the Neill thing again in a couple years, and we'll all be like, oh yeah, that game.
What do you close ties to Germany? What are you talking about?
Well, like South Africa, that's like very Dutch. That's like what Afrikaans and all that stuff is very like.
Okay, I guess.
I don't know. It's kind of in that. A lot of like the.
Is that close ties to the country of Germany? I don't know.
I mean, like South Africa has close ties to Germany. Like a lot of the original South Africans, I think, are like German expats.
I don't know if that has anything to do with this deal.
I was just saying. Okay. Well, don't call me out on everything I say.
Okay. Live corrections.
Geopolitical. Let's talk about the history of South Africa, folks. A man named Cecil Rhodes. No. All right. Goes to Tsushima. Or is that? I heard the trailer. I think I'm saying it wrong because it sounded like they said Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima. So I'm going to say Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
I don't know if that's wrong, but I'm trying not to do like an accent. I'm just trying to. That's what it sounded like they pronounced it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The director's cut. So we're talking about talking about games with director's cuts. It's all flowing together, folks. We finally got a story trailer. A lot of story trailers this week. Finally got a story trailer featuring Iki Island. Looks darn good. Looks cool. Matt, over to you as someone who's currently playing Ghost of Tsushima. What do you think?
It looks like more Ghost of Tsushima.
It does. It does.
I hope that they change up the formulas that they use for their missions a little bit. A lot of it is pretty formulaic and gets a little stale, but we'll see. They did show some parts that look like you're gonna have like hallucination scenes, sort of like what you see in Far Cry. So that looks kind of neat.
Yeah.
I could have sworn earlier today, maybe this was on Instagram. I could have sworn I saw a video where they were showing on Iki Island as Jin, you were like petting like monkeys and cats and like there were new animals that you could interact with. And that wasn't in the trailer when I rewatched it this afternoon. So I don't know if I'm making that up or if that was like a clip that they put on Instagram.
Maybe you had an hallucination.
Ooh, maybe.
And you hallucinated there were monkeys. That sounds great. I'd love for more pettable animals.
Yeah.
That's something we could use in every game, is more pettable animals. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, of course. So one thing in Ghost of Tsushima is when it's like you find these fox dens and the foxes lead you to these shrines that you upgrade like your charm slots or whatever.
Sure.
And after you leave the shrine, when you turn around, sometimes the fox is there to pet, but for me it's only been like 15-20% of the time. And when I was trying to show my wife at first, like I had pet like the first 3 times I did it was a fox like every time. And then I was trying to show her, and like the next like 6 times I did it, there was the fox was gone.
It's like an hour. She's like, I have to go somewhere, Matt. You're like, no, it's just like one more fox. I gotta do another. Actually, I'm running by somewhere where I gotta drop a quest off first, but then we're going to get another kid.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I've been on a good fox petting streak.
I feel like you're not missing too much. As someone who just went to a petting zoo, a pseudo petting zoo, and was with some foxes.
Ooh.
Very smelly animal.
I think in real life, I don't think they're the nicest of creatures either.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of like.
There are those domestic ones, the Arctic ones that they're domesticating in Russia, but I think even they like are pretty pissed to be domesticated. So I don't know about
foxes can be scary looking, like sharp teeth, like
they are.
Sometimes
they make that horrible noise too, that little screechy noise.
Yeah. Little evil little faces sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Much like us, when you really think about it.
When you really think about it,
yeah. So before we go, and you leave us, don't you want to have something to do when you leave? Don't you want to go play a game? Well, there's a whole bunch of new games. Well, not new, but there's a whole bunch of games on sale right now. PSN Summer Sale just started today. That's great. Lots of great deals. I think like a lot of brand new games are on sale. Returnal's on sale. Like a lot of PS5 games are on sale. Like stuff you wouldn't expect for decent discounts. I mean, Matt, did anything really jump out to you? I mean, like I said, Returnal, Miles Morales, Spider-Man is on there. Like a lot of stuff. I don't think Ratchet and Clank, but that's like brand new. So what are you going to do? But a lot of great stuff and a lot of PS4 classics as well.
So we've talked about this before, but I plan to play Miles Morales in December because of the Christmas themes.
Yep,
I haven't seen it below $40 yet. I think at some point, maybe Black Friday or something, it's going to go below $40.
I think may as well wait because you're going to get a lot of sales before then. Yeah, Black Friday and stuff. So.
Another game I've been holding off on, and it's getting kind of close to this point, but Medieval. I've seen it at $15 so many times, and I want to play it this October. Yeah. I think I'm holding out hope that it's going to get a little bit lower than 15.
I think 15 sounds pretty fair.
Yeah, it does, Medieval. But I just I haven't wanted to buy it so far in advance of October, but I feel like it's going to get to October. I'm going to be stuck. It's going to be like October 25th.
It'll be like $50 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be a sale. Hitman 3's on a really good sale right now. Metro Exodus is only $10 right now. It Takes Two is only $30 right now. So yeah, I think I'll definitely pick up It Takes Two, play that with the wife.
You've been meaning to play that, right?
Yeah. And maybe Metro Exodus just because it's so cheap. And then we'll see. We'll see about Medieval. We'll see. Love it. Medieval. Cool. I don't know how you pronounce that game title.
I think Medieval sounds. I mean, to be honest, I think you're supposed to pronounce the actual real thing Medieval anyway, technically, kind of with a little I in there. Even though I say medieval, I think it's kind of like medieval.
Okay.
Medieval.
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 Little Italian.
I guess so. Yeah.
Little Italian in the middle, and you kind of got it.
That's a spicy medieval.
Yeah.
And with that light hate crime, thank you for listening to GG Replay this week. so far. We have another one coming up on Friday. And if you didn't listen on Monday, we had a banger of an episode, as the Zoomers say. And you know what? If you're loving what you're listening to, we have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. And you can also check out our website, goodnightgroofs.com. We got blogs, we got podcasts, we got videos. The website might look a little funky right now, but we're working on it. I don't want to like out you, but I just feel like if you go right now and you happen to listen to it, it does look a little funky, but we're working on it.
Theme update broke the website.
Yeah, so we're working on that right now. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm sure you're probably going to get there now and you won't even notice it. But yeah, we have plenty of content. There's more stuff on our YouTube. And not only that, but this show is also an audio podcast. So if you're watching it right now on YouTube or on our website, or someone linked it on Reddit, because we're just blowing up, we're going viral, we also have an audio podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, just wherever you get your podcasts. So feel free to drop us a like or a comment if that is a thing. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, especially. 5-star reviews are huge. Help us so much in the algorithm. We really appreciate it. So if you could do that, that'd be awesome. You know, any and all support you guys give us is greatly appreciated, because we're just looking to improve the Goodnight Groofs and give you more fantastic content. We love all of you. Right now we have 30 subscribers on YouTube as of today, and you know what? Darn proud of that. 30 of you, that's awesome. And like only 5 of them are like my closest friends and family, so that's pretty good. Matt, anything to add before we're out of here today?
If all 30 subscribers came to GroofCon, I'd be happy.
All right, that's it. This just in, GroofCon 2025. Let's make it happen. 1,000 people. All right, it's on the fridge. We're putting it on the fridge, baby. All right, thank you so much for listening. We will see everyone on Friday for another episode of GG Replay. But until then, good night, Groofs.
Bucks and 6.